It's another time out with you on NTA Nationwide News. My name is Ogechi Paul. Nigerians in South Africa have expressed great optimism in the Buhari administration towards tackling challenge of developing the country, saying the goodwill of the people around the world is needed in achieving the drive. Hamza Musa Makarfi was in Johannesburg.
According to a source, there are at least 500,000 Nigerians in South Africa engaged in various fields of human endeavor.
The signature here is of Nigerian cuisine by this entrepreneur in part of Johannesburg city. She is among the 500,000 Nigerians in South Africa, as many more are professionals and the skilled. That South Africa accepted them in their country is a reciprocal gesture and entrenching agreements for people of the two countries to pursue their legitimate businesses. But as the saying goes, out of sight is not out of mind. Even though remotely located, Nigerians in South Africa, like elsewhere in parts of the world, are passionate about their country, its leadership and development.
He promised to fight the corruption, so he should focus on that and fight corruption as much as possible. At the same time, there are a lot of youths looking for jobs.
And the difficulty for business growth in Nigeria has always been the issue of corruption, because everything is about exchange of something to get in something.
Thumb up for our new president and our...
Nigeria's Consul General, Ambassador Uche Ajulo Okeke, says the mission is entrenching the citizens' diplomacy initiative towards ensuring that Nigerians have a sense of belonging.
Once the leadership has a vision that it is easy to follow and accomplish, in tune with the aspiration of the new administration that has seen that the Nigerian needs to be uplifted and treated fairly and decently. We want to restore our national pride to what it was in the 70s.
In the next few days, Nigeria, like its peers, will be at the World Economic Forum for Africa and the African Union Midterm Summit in South Africa. The Economic Forum is with the theme, Then and Now, Reimagining Africa's Future. From Johannesburg, I am Hamza Musa Makarfi, NTA News.
As part of stimulating the economy, there is a focus on rekindling Nigeria's reputation in oil palm production as a rich foreign exchange earner. In this report, Beauty Obamie examines the need for more funding and establishing of a commodity board.
Experts, while giving insight into the operations of the industry, display that it is a significant sector of the nation's economy, providing food and raw materials for the confectionery and personal care products industry. In 2014, employment generated in the industry stood at 4 million, with beneficiaries mostly from the major oil-producing states of Edo and Rivers. The total domestic consumption was reported to be 1.4 million metric tons, of which domestic consumption accounts for about 81%, while the industrial consumption accounts for 19%. Those statistics from the latest decade reveal that industrial consumption is growing faster at 2.98%.
When we begin to look at mature plantings, a hectare can employ 4 people full-time.
Traditionally, the oil palm is useful all round, with its byproducts ranging from palm oil to broom and native soap. With modern technology, however, the oil palm industry has been put to more use, as the byproducts are now useful for food products, such as cooking fat, deep frying oil, bakery products, ice cream, and other snacks. The industry is, however, not without its challenges. In the 1960s, Nigeria was the world's largest producer of palm oil, contributing 40% of global production and 27% of global trade. Today, it is the 5th largest producer of oil palm worldwide, faced with challenges such as low crop productivity, power, inadequate financing, and high volume of imports.
The challenges essentially is land, acquisition of land, and then loan for expansion and growth.
Experts say key policy recommendations such as adequate financing, establishment of Nigeria Palm Oil Board, infrastructure support and fiscal measures, as well as incentives spanning for over 6 decades, will help the industry meet her obligations in boosting the nation's economy. In Benin, Beauty and Robani.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Mahmoud Mohammed, has again spoken of the need for uprightness in the legal profession, particularly those on the bench. He said that these are the swearing of the Chief Judge of the Federal Capital Territory High Court, Justice Ishak Bello. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okewo completes this story.
Justice Ishak Bello becomes the 4th Chief Judge of the Federal Capital Territory High Court. He takes over from Justice Ibrahim Bukar, who retired earlier in the year. The FCT High Court, which runs like one of the state high courts, is administered by the federal government due to its status as the federal capital. It is in this light that the Chief Justice of Nigeria acknowledged that the court has a peculiar burden of having some of the highest number of corruption cases in Nigeria before it. He therefore called on the new Chief Judge to brace up to this responsibility.
I encourage your Lordship to imbibe and encourage the use of the alternative dispute resolution ADR mechanism within all your courts.
Justice Ishak Bello promised to live up to the challenges.
One can only pray to God for wisdom, guidance, and health for one to continue to shoulder the enormous responsibilities.
In Abuja, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
This is NTA News Nationwide. We're now going over to Lagos to join Demola for more reports from there. Good afternoon, Demola.
Good afternoon, Ogechi, and welcome to Lagos. The need to improve the nation's healthcare delivery system through the availability of evidence-based medicine developed in Nigeria was the focus of the 3rd Nigerian Annual Clinic Trial Summit held in Lagos. The 3-day event is tagged Advancing Clinical Trials in the West African Sub-Region. The report.
Despite the World Health Organization's declaration in 2004 that a well-planned health research is fundamental to the improvement of health in our countries, lack of infrastructure and experience in clinical research has remained a major problem among African countries. This Clinical Trial Summit, jointly organized by the Association for Good Clinical Practice in Nigeria and the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is therefore to emphasize the importance and benefits of indigenous drug development, the challenges, as well as to map out ways to improve clinical research in Nigeria.
As we are trying to attract clinical trials into the sub-region, we're also looking at being able to develop our own indigenous drugs.
Director General NAFDAC, Paul Ohi, says the availability of evidence-based medicines developed through Nigerian clinical trial process will ensure a better health care for citizens.
We have about 50 clinical trials going on, but we require that all the medicines that we register, especially new medicines that have not been used here before, have to have clinical trial data from a country that is similar to ours.
Other speakers were optimistic that clinical trials in the Nigerian health sector will be successful. The 2015 Nigerian Clinical Trial Summit is the 3rd in the series. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abakpoya, NTA News.
The Catholic Archbishop of Lagos, Most Reverend Alfred Adewale Martins, has advised the new administration of President Muhammadu Buhari to take advantage of the goodwill of Nigerians to right the wrongs done to Nigeria by the previous administration and save Nigeria from disintegration. He said this while addressing the media on the state of the nation in Lagos. The report.
The Archbishop noted that it is indeed a new dawn for Nigeria, having witnessed a successful handover of power to a new democratic administration. While reflecting on the past administration, which according to the Archbishop was characterized by corruption, mismanagement of the economy, poverty and all-round deprivation, however, appealed to President Muhammadu Buhari to select only credible and competent Nigerians to head the various ministries, agencies and parastatals who will collectively reposition the country for all-round development. He said the president should sanitize every sector of the economy to ensure further growth.
However, as laudable and desirable as it may be for the new president to sanitize our corrupt system, including the justice system, our advice is that he should not allow himself to be distracted by setting up probe panels that will only mean undue expenditure of our lean resources.
In his recommendations, the Archbishop, however, advised the new administration to reduce the cost of governance to allow the dividends of democracy trickle down to the masses and reintroduce the War Against Indiscipline program. Earlier, a special mass was conducted to mark the 56th birthday anniversary of the Archbishop.
The president of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, Augustine Alege, SAN, has asked President Muhammadu Buhari to put an end to the suffering of Nigerians by dealing decisively with the persistent and lingering fuel crisis and address the power issue to save the nation from further deterioration. He said the president can tackle these challenges by developing a legal framework of policy direction. Mr. Alege said this at a press conference in Lagos. Viera Chimoba has the details.
The NBA president, Augustine Alege SAN, who reviewed the state of the nation, asked President Muhammadu Buhari to avoid the many mistakes of the previous administration by developing an articulate policy direction through a well-defined and enabling legal framework for development. He said democracy thrives on the rule of law and many of the nation's laws are obsolete and archaic. The need to bring them in tandem with modern realities has become imperative. The NBA president appealed to President Buhari to include promulgation of new laws in his agenda setting, review the existing ones to make them more certain, and also ensure that executive bills that will be initiated by the president are followed to logical conclusion.
It is that amendment of the law that would conform with new thinking and new dreams and new aspirations and new issues of change that will make the government a government of rule of law. If a government decides on a policy direction that does not have a legal backing, then there will be a need for the government to quickly amend the laws. And I believe that in the first 100 days, the new government should set out the laws they want to amend.
On the lingering and persistent fuel crisis, the NBA president called for verification of claims of theft before payment, while those who inflict hardship on Nigerians should be sanctioned. In Lagos, Viera Chumuba, NTA News.
The world marked Global Parenting Day recently, and the challenges parents face in raising their children in the face of current social and economic conditions in the country came under focus. Jane Ojuko reports.
Parents all over the world are faced with the responsibility of nurturing children and providing them with education, health care, and protection, among others. How effective parents can do this varies from country to country. In Nigeria, a major challenge confronting many parents today is how to provide basic needs of their children in the face of the widespread unemployment, underemployment, and poverty.
Finance or funds is the main challenge of most parents, taking care of their kids.
They are trying to bring up the children in a very good manner, trying to educate them and to let them behave well in the society.
This situation is further compounded by lack of basic amenities and infrastructure that governments should provide for employment generation.
Social media generally are not helping, and also I think the schools children go to or students go to, their peer group also affects them negatively also. So I think parents should try more to spend time with their children, try to understand them.
In spite of the difficulties in bringing up children in Nigeria, observers believe that parents will still do well by inculcating in their children honesty, hard work, patriotism, and respect for others. In Lagos, Jane Ojuku, NTA News.
Well, that does it from Lagos. It's back to you, Ogechi, for more on Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Demola. Following the words of President Muhammadu Buhari in his maiden speech that his administration will ensure that the gross corruption at the local government level is checked to ensure accountability. NTA's program Good Morning Nigeria, in marking its 4th year anniversary, took time to x-ray how this tall order can be achieved. Ngufun Chiaji tells us more.
And close its eyes to what is going on in the states and local governments.
The searchlight beams again on the 3rd year of government. It is the fight against corruption at the local government level. Over the years, the 3rd year of government has come under severe criticism for poor development at the local government level. While some experts point at what they perceive as lacuna in the constitution, others believe that only an autonomous local government can effectively deliver dividends of democracy at the grassroots.
I would prefer a situation where we will strengthen the constitutional framework for the operation of the local governments and also get the right people into the right positions within the state governments and in the local governments.
The structure of the local government councils should be taken away from the respective state houses of assembly if you are talking of autonomy.
We should really review the issue of immunity against criminal, actions by, people in position of power.
If their funds are paid directly to them and they're held responsible for those funds, we are laying foundation for government, participatory government by every Nigerian.
And when you have Good Morning Nigeria, the Nigerian Television Authority.
Promoting unity and peaceful coexistence in diversity was the focus when the management of the Nigerian Christian Pilgrims Commission visited the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria in Abuja. Correspondent Ali Tukur reports.
Led by the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Christian Pilgrims Commission, the visit aims at strengthening the mutual relationship between the two faith-based agencies in order to promote peaceful coexistence among citizens through religious tolerance. To achieve this objective, Mr. Kennedy Opara said there is need to emulate the relationship that exists among the organizations.
It's love that brought both the Hajj and the Christian Commission together. And that's the message we preach both to the Christians and the Muslims out there. Every one of us must show love.
Chairman of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria said the two agencies will take advantage of the synergy enjoyed to chart ways of improving their services for the benefit of citizens and to also work towards being financially independent.
How do we work towards encouraging our service providers outside Nigeria to also look at the opportunities abundant in Nigeria to come in and invest?
The two agencies also promised to diversify their operations in order to contribute to the growth of the economy. In Abuja, Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
Kogi Youth Arise, an all progressive Congress support group, has condemned in its entirety the recent spate of kidnappings in the state. Chairman of the group, Yahaya Bello, made the condemnation in Abuja while briefing the media on the situation, which he described as worrisome to the people. Timothy Yusuf reports.
From insurgency of the northeast states, which the nation is tackling headlong, the recent spate of kidnappings in Kogi state within the last few weeks has been identified as a major threat to the security of lives of the people. Considering the centrality of the state as a gateway to the Federal Capital Territory and the north, the APC Youth Arise group is calling on relevant agencies of government to address the issues squarely.
What is happening now is an unusual situation, and it will require an unusual solution.
While the Adavi local government resident judge, Justice Oluti Mehin, is still in the hands of his captors, the Kogi State Commissioner for Lands, Stephen Mayaki, was last Sunday abducted by unknown gunmen. Chairman of the group, Yahaya Bello, said the development is unacceptable. National Chairman of the coalition of the APC support groups, Ambassador Lawal Munir, in a solidarity message says they are confident that the Buhari administration will decisively deal with all forms of criminality being perpetrated across the country.
He has already indicated that things will be done.
In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
You're still watching NTA Nationwide News. EFCC drags CBN officials to court as the Oyo State Police Command tackles fraudsters den. This and more from Ibadan Network Center with Moshu. Over to you.
Thank you, Ogechi. Good afternoon and welcome to Ibadan. 6 officials of the Central Bank of Nigeria have been remanded at the Agodi prison, Ibadan, over the alleged 8 billion naira fraud instituted against them by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Correspondent Abdurrahman Kamaldin reports that the accused persons were arraigned before Justice Ayo Emmanuel of the Federal High Court.
The accused officials of the Central Bank of Nigeria, namely Patience Okoro, Afolabi Olufemi, Kolawole Babalola, Olaniran Adeola, Fatai Yusuf, and Ilori Adekule, pleaded not guilty to a 5-count charge of the alleged 8 billion naira fraud. They were alleged of stealing and recirculating mutilated 1,000 naira notes amounting to 8 billion naira. The prosecution lead counsel, Rotimi Jacob, SAN, had earlier contested the oral application for bail moved by counsels to the accused persons on the ground that such application should be written. The presiding judge, Justice Ayo Emmanuel, remanded the accused persons at the Agodi prison, Ibadan, till June 9, pending the hearing on the bail application.
The court is saying that they should bring formal application. All those things that the lawyers are saying that they should come with applications and say it in the affidavit. That's the requirement.
The issue is that it is offense, billable offense. So if it's a billable offense, whether it's oral or formal, it should not be an issue.
Other staff from some commercial banks alleged to have conspired with the accused persons to actualize the alleged illegal deal were also remanded at the Agodi prison. The court fixed 6th and 7th of July to commence trial. In Ibadan, Abdurrahman Kamaldin, NTA News.
A hideout for fraudsters and spiritualists has been discovered in Ojoku village near Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. The State Commissioner of Police, Musa Katsina, said the feat was achieved through police intelligence gathering at the grassroots. Correspondent Oyeyinka Folaromi reports.
The aesthetically decorated bungalow with various works of art may look so inviting to lovers of tourism, as it is located in the serene area of Ojoku, surrounded with gifts of nature. A closer look, however, represented a dreaded shrine of different shapes, colors, and paintings to explore the gullibility of some members of the public. The Oyo State Police Commissioner Musa Katsina said the discovery was as a result of weeks of intelligence gathering executed by the ambush squad of the command.
His victims cut across the length and breadth of this country. I have just launched what I call Operation Water Hycin. Operation Water Hycin is aimed to make us spread our tentacles, to accommodate, to dominate, to suffocate, and smoke out all miscreants, no matter where they are hiding.
A suspect, Ismail Adeshino, was arrested. Fake foreign currencies, free cars, traveling boxes, and other fetish objects recovered, while other 2 suspects were said to be at large. The seller of the large expanse of land, Bale of Ojoku, and others are helping the police in its investigation. In another development, the command earlier paraded a middle-aged man, Tajuddin Awoniyi, for committing incest with his 2 daughters and their 2 nieces. Investigations is ongoing. In Ibadan, Oyeyinka Folaromi, NTA News.
The Nigerian Television Authority has instituted a suit against
1959 on behalf of the former Western Nigerian Television. The land in dispute has since been used as a booster station and proposed site for studio and NT transmitter center with a mast erected there since 1959. The claimants had resumed hearing on the matter through their counsel, Tunji Ologunde, while cross-examining the licensee of NTA, who are also defendants in the suit, urged the court to admit that where NTA mast is erected on the land is enclosed and thereby different from the land in dispute. Counsel to the fourth defendant, who is the Bureau of Lands and Survey in Ogun State, Mr. Tunji Yusuf, invited a witness, an official of the Ministry of Lands and Survey, who is on Sufina, to tender 2 documents, which are the certified true copy of 2 gazettes and certified true copy of registration of title of the third defendant, documents dated 15 September 1961, which the court admitted as exhibits.
It went fine, at least considering where we came from, where we started from. I think we've made a reasonable amount of progress.
The next thing, as it stands, is for the third defendant, counterclaimant, that's NTA, to come in with his second witness.
Justice Olugboiga Okufora adjourned further hearing on the matter to 17th and 30th of June, when more witnesses are expected to appear before the court to give their evidences. Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
The Osun Election Petitions Tribunal, sitting in Osogbo, has dismissed an application instituted by INEC requesting for an extension of periods to file its reply to the petition filed by the candidates of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Osun East senatorial election, Francis Fadausi. The panel overruled INEC's request for lack of merit. Correspondent Tokwe Alabi has the details.
Counsel to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Olalekan Olorunfemi, in a motion, prayed the tribunal for extension of time to file its reply out of time. He attributed the need for extension of period to challenges being faced by the officer in charge of the document, who he reported to be indisposed. The electoral body, a third respondent, was expected to file its reply to the petition filed by Prince Francis Fadausi of PDP against the victory of Senator Babajide Omowurari of APC in the Osun East senatorial election. The 3-man panel, headed by Justice Benedict Kanyip, dismissed INEC's application for extension of time, saying the electoral body did not convince the court on the need for further time after it had failed to file its reply at stipulated time.
NTA Nationwide News continues in just a moment. Stay with us.
Come to Sharon Ultimate Hotels, Abuja, the ultimate place to be.
May 29th, with a new ethos for change. Where the leader says we have an opportunity, let us take it. This is the focus of NTA Tuesday Live. Tuesday Live, educative, informative, interactive, and engaging. Don't be told. Join us.
The message of hope across the land. Stay together as one. All the obstacles will disappear. Let's open up our hearts. Let's open up our hearts and cherish this piece of the earth that God has given us.
The Nigerian Television Authority, in partnership with the Albino Foundation, celebrate the maiden edition of the UN International Albinism Awareness Day on 13th June 2015. The International Albinism Awareness Day, aimed at reducing human rights abuses against persons with albinism, will feature an albinism walk, workshop, gala night, and lots more. Be part of this. Sponsor this noble cause. For sponsorship details, please call.
Nigeria are the champions of the world.
They conquered the world at the FIFA Under-17 Championship in the United Arab Emirates 2 years ago. Can the golden generation of Nigerian football go one better at the FIFA Under-20 Championship, New Zealand 2015? NTA Star Times will bring all the matches from New Zealand to your living rooms from the 30th of May to the 20th of June, with repeat broadcast at the friendly hours of 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. daily. The FIFA Under-20 Championship, New Zealand 2015. Tomorrow's legend today.
Welcome back. A justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, Chima Nwenze, has called for the establishment of a human rights tribunal as a further step to strengthen human rights compliance in the country. He made a call at the second partnership development workshop between Nigeria and Canada. Femi Okewo reports.
Nigeria already has a National Human Rights Commission, which, in the words of Justice Nwenze, does a general human rights assessment in the country. But in order to step up compliance with international human rights standards, the Supreme Court Justice said that Nigeria can take a cue from the Canadian experience, which has a tribunal to adjudicate over human rights violations, both at the interpersonal and governmental levels.
The Commission itself processes complaints by individuals on matters of discrimination and falls to the tribunal. The tribunal that deals with them.
The Canadian-Nigerian interaction is a project of the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies and the Osgood Hall Law School, Canada.
It will help human rights actors in Nigeria because it will show areas where there is need for enhancement and support.
We are going to produce a policy brief at the end that is going to be distributed, that is going to be very useful to those Canadian institutions as they engage with the Nigerians, and also to the Nigerians as they engage with the Canadians.
This year's partnership focuses on how the two countries can learn from each other's human rights experiences.
Nigeria has played a very constructive role in terms of the development of international human rights praxis. And I think that when we appreciate the constructive role that Nigeria plays, it's not to say that there is no room for improvement in the Nigerian dispensation.
In Abuja, Femi Okewo, NTA News.
A civil society organization, Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, has urged President Muhammadu Buhari to go a step further to publicly declare his assets as promised in his election campaign. CDD Director Idayat Hassan made the call in Abuja at the formal launching of Buhari Meter, a tool for measuring government's performance. Correspondent Dino Justice has the details.
The Buhari Meter, according to the CDD Director Idayat Hassan, will use three approaches: web-based applications, media, and on-the-spot checks of projects and programs to measure government performances in line with their campaign promises. She noted that after 16 years of democracy in Nigeria, time has come for the citizens to not only participate at election time, but to also be involved in decision-making processes.
It is designed to monitor, track, report on, and create awareness among citizens about the status of implementation of promises made by the new government during the electioneering period.
We have the privilege of being in a position to make sure that this whole change we've heard so much about can be something meaningful to all of us.
If he publicly declares his assets, we see that of course he's coming with an open hand. Then there is what they call managing expectation.
While also urging the government to have a Marshall Plan for the security in the Northeast, the director emphasized the need to fight corruption from the onset. In Abuja, Edina Justice, NTA News.
Former Minister of Information Prince Tony Momo says he's confident that President Muhammadu Buhari will accord the Niger Delta region equal priority in all spheres of development. Prince Tony Momoh was speaking at a talk shop organized by Change Ambassadors of Nigeria in collaboration with Niger Delta media professionals. Correspondent Anthony Forson reports.
The former Minister of Information, Prince Tony Momoh, who chaired the occasion, and other speakers at the occasion, made it explicitly clear that irrespective of regional, religious, or ethnic affiliation, building Nigeria is a collective burden.
With the coming of Muhammadu Buhari, we all must come together to grow Nigeria, because for Nigeria, as far as I'm concerned, Nigeria does not just have a future, it has a mission.
There is a resounding ray of hope following Mr. President's pronouncement that he will invest heavily in the projects and programs that evolved from the amnesty program, in spite of the end of the tenure of the amnesty.
In the words of the organizers, President Muhammadu Buhari, as an embodiment of uprightness, needs the cooperation of all Nigerians to deliver the desired change which he stands for. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
You're still watching NTA Nationwide News. Let's join Pam on our Makodi Center for more. Pam, you're on.
Welcome to Makudi. Governor Samuel Otom has fully assumed office with an appeal to the people for patience as he settles down to meet their yearnings. Achigile Magaji reports that the governor said this on his first day in the office as the 5th civilian governor of the state.
On his arrival, the governor was received at the government house premises in a brief ceremony by the permanent secretary and other heads of departments. He proceeded to his office to commence the act of governance. The governor once again expressed appreciation to Benue people for the opportunity given him and said he will strive to meet their expectations.
I am touched by the level of confidence that has been bestowed upon me. And as I assume office, my commitment to serve the state and to surmount the challenges that are facing us.
While addressing the staff of Government House, the governor demanded hard work, diligence and commitment as his administration will imbibe the spirit of excellence. The permanent secretary, Government House Administration, Tesu Ovihi Vasi, assured the governor of the total commitment of every staff of Government House to work. In Makudi, Achigile Magaji, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Governor Samuel Otom has sworn in the principal officers of his administration. They are the Secretary to the State Government, SSG, the Head of Service, the Chief of Staff to the Governor, and the Special Advisor to the Governor on Media and Information Technology, ICT. Correspondent Achigile Magaji once again has the report.
Mr. Tagema Takema is the Secretary to the State Government. Mr. Adaiku Inwata, Head of Service, Tewa Sobunde, Chief of Staff to the Governor, and Mr. Tahafa Gizwa, Special Advisor, Media and ICT. Governor Otom reminded the appointees their enormous responsibilities before them and tasked them to always strive to live above board. The governor maintained that their appointments provide opportunity to serve and not to amass wealth, and expressed concern over the poor financial state of government. He said that anyone that will serve in his administration must be ready to be an agent of change.
I must emphasize too that we are coming into government at a time when many people are yearning for change, which has been clearly demonstrated in our election into office.
Responding on behalf of others, the Secretary to the State Government, Tagema Takema, promised to live up to the expectations of the Benue people.
It is our commitment, it is our pledge, and it is our covenant that we stand with you in trying to redeem this state.
Other appointees are expected in subsequent days. In Makudi, Achigile Magaji, NTA News.
Users of Premium Motor Spirit PMS have called on relevant authorities in the petroleum industry to intensify efforts in ensuring availability and stability of petrol prices to ease the hardships encountered in view of its scarcity. They were speaking against the backdrop of improvements in the supply of the product at service stations. Correspondent Elias Etiaf has a situation report.
Consumers of PMS in recent times had to queue up in stations for hours before accessing the product, though at very exorbitant prices. This situation has, however, witnessed a shift from accessibility and scarcity to hike in the prices of the product.
The situation in most of the filling stations in Makurdi, the Benue state capital, shows that there is availability of the product for customers to buy. However, they have called on relevant authorities to expedite actions to bring the prices of the product to 87 naira as approved by the federal government.
Most of the independent and major marketers visited were dispensing, while others were out of stock. The mega filling station, Otukpo Road, was not selling the product, though a truck was moving into the outfit to dispatch the product for onward sales to consumers. Some motorists who spoke to NTA News said, though the product is available, they still have a problem with the price, which is pegged at 130 naira per litre.
Probably not there, but it's very cost.
I can see that the fuel is available, one. Secondly, the thing has come down to 130 instead of 180, 200, and the scarcity.
They also appealed for reversal to the pump price of 87 naira approved by the federal government. In Makurdi, Elias Etiaf, NTA News.
And that will be it from Makurdi. It's now back to Ogechi in Abuja for the rest of Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Pam. The National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, and the Nigeria Communications Satellite, NICOMSAT, have agreed to partner with a view to aid the new government in fighting corruption through the ICT. The two agencies met today in Abuja. Ruben Okala reports.
The National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, creates framework for the planning, research, development, standardization, and regulation of information technology practices, while the Nigeria Communications Satellite, NICOMSAT, manages and operates Nigerian satellites for the socio-economic benefit of the nation through the provision of transponders, broadband, as well as broadcasting services, among others.
We want to deploy sufficient ICT infrastructure to support the new government to ensure that both in terms of service delivery, in terms of IGR, in terms of performance, especially with e-government, the agencies under communication technology work closely together to ensure improved performance in government.
Would not just deploy ICT facility for corruption, but also to increase employment, to generate employment in entrepreneurship and all that. We have been working in silos, but right now we say we're going to put our resources together to save the government money, and that's one of the beauty of this meeting.
The duo also pledged to expand Nigeria's cyberspace as well as accelerate.
The Environmental Impact Assessment Act of 1992 was promulgated to protect the environment and its inhabitants, arising from some major activities being carried out in the private and public sectors. 23 years down the line, the federal government saw the need to review this act to increase the level of participation, build investors' confidence, and closely monitor environmental-related activities of both the private and public sectors in order to ensure that the environmental laws in the land are strictly followed.
We also make sure that we also strengthen our ability to sanction people who have continued to forge DA certificates that deny our people the opportunity to benefit from what the assessment is meant to achieve.
Participants at the review and validation workshop commended the exercise with a word of advice to operators in the sector.
Miners should not embark on mining without having the EIA.
Environmental concerns are incorporated into project planning, design, and decision making.
States were advised not to operate in isolation from the federal government in enforcing the act. In Abuja, Mie Ogidi, NTA News.
1 week after suspension of strike by oil workers, the long queues of vehicles have refused to go as scarcity of petroleum products has persisted. Debola Brooklyn Sunday visited some petrol stations in Abuja and reports that consumers are still struggling to have the product.
I'm confused. My head is not here. I'm supposed to be airport now to go and pick my car for airport. And I hear his money to give me for, they don't want to give me for.
One of the filling stations has introduced the use of tally in order to checkmate the activities of gate crashers who do not want to join the queue. But even at that, black marketers have devised means of buying the products only to siphon and return to a practice that has contributed to the unending long queues.
You yourself see how they are siphoning from cars outside my station, and I'm not a police, I'm a station manager. I don't have jurisdiction to arrest them outside the station.
The Department of Petroleum Resources had promised Nigerians of adequate supply of the products, but the challenge has remained unabated.
Though the sufficiency should be about 8 million, but the way things are going, we are very hopeful that within the next few days, the queue is very likely to disappear, or at least it will reduce drastically.
Most filling stations were, however, selling at the regulated price of 87 naira per litre. In Abuja, Adebola Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
Child rights. Are they more important than other rights? This is the focus of the annual Secondary School Human Rights Summit organized in Abuja. Franca Uzoma Olua reports that Christ the King's College emerged the overall winner.
Secondary schools, public and private, participated in the first round of the debate.
Human rights made me in school today. Human rights is making me speak to you now.
Another thing brought about by this Universal Declaration of Human Rights is the right to dignity of persons, which allows certain women to show provocative parts of their body to men.
At the end, American International School and Christ the King College emerged as finalists.
And now it is when human rights trying to take the rod away from the African child, thus creating an avenue for the child to become wayward and notorious.
The right to democratic assembly without police brutality is a basic tenet.
Eventually, Christ the King College came tops with 633 points, followed by American International School with 622 points.
Everyone deserves a round of applause. Do that.
Debate was organized by the Sterling Center for Law and Development in collaboration with the Human Rights Commission.
I want us to really be vanguards. See your future today. What are your goals?
It is put together to bring secondary school students together to stimulate their interest in human rights. At the end of the day, they will become responsible citizens. We're going to have a generation of citizens who understand rights, who respect rights.
The annual Secondary Schools Human Rights Summit serves as a wake-up call to policymakers to facilitate the full domestication and implementation of the Child Rights Act. In Abuja, Franca Uzoma Olwa, NTA News.
The role of organized labor in promoting good governance since independence is seen as crucial, with industrial harmony being a key factor in economic growth. In this special report, correspondent Emmanuel Ayimero examines how labor and the new administration will tackle the challenges ahead.
It's held February this year. President Muhammadu Buhari, then as a presidential candidate, was invited to present his manifestos to the representatives of workers. This was his assurance to workers.
We believe that the labor of our heroes past and present shall never be in vain.
Now that President Buhari has taken over the mantle of leadership amidst daunting challenges of poor infrastructure, massive unemployment, dwindling economy, among others, the labor leaders want the president to begin to look into issues affecting all Nigerians.
Good governance entails addressing the challenges of corruption, providing job opportunities for our teeming youth, and also providing quality services.
How will the trade unions work with the new administration in promoting industrial harmony?
We can't afford a situation where unions will be taken with levity. Legitimate demands of unions will be treated with levity.
The recurring scarcity of petroleum products is one huge challenge the new administration will have to address because of its negative impact on the economy and life itself.
The organized labor will be willing to assist the government
to look into the face of the cabals and tell them Nigeria is bigger than them. So address the corruption in the oil industry after the attendance of the cleanup.
This fuel scarcity affected us most because that is the only way of having our own daily income. Because if there is no fuel, everything will stand still.
Lack of good governance has been identified as one major reason for the delivery of poor social services and low productivity. Elimination of corruption, Labour leaders have argued, will make Nigeria overcome many problems confronting it. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
On to global tidbits, Sudanese President Umar al-Bashir sworn in for another 5-year term. Egypt court adjourns final verdict on ousted President Mohamed Morsi. Plus Chinese ship capsized on Yangtze with 100 missing. Details and more on global tidbits with correspondent Ronke Kolawole.
Sudanese President al-Bashir is back in office for another term of 5 years after a landslide victory in April poll, promising an all-encompassing government. Al-Bashir first took over power in 1989 in a coup d'etat. In Cairo, a court has postponed the final verdict on last month's death sentence slammed on ousted President Mohamed Morsi to June 6. Report from China says 5 people have died and hundreds reportedly missing after a cruise ship carrying 458 people capsized on the Yangtze River. At least 14 people survived, while some were found alive inside the submerged hull of the Eastern Star. Most of the people on board were tourists aged between 50 and 80. In the United States, the Homeland Security Secretary, Jay Johnson, has called for revised security procedures in airports following the awareness that airport screeners allowed mock explosives and weapons through security checkpoints 95% of the time. In Paris, foreign ministers from 20 countries are discussing ways to step up the fight against Islamic State militants, but Russia, Iran and Syria are not part of the talks. For Global Tidbits, Ronke Kolawole, NTA News.
And for sports update, this package says Brazil and Nigeria tipped to qualify to the kick-out stage of New Zealand 2015. As Nigerian striker Kennedy Buananike makes MLS Team of the Week. Let's join Fisayo Gunfisayo for these and more.
The newly inaugurated Ministerial Technical Committee of the National Sports Commission has ruled out overseas tours for all its teams participating in upcoming international competitions due to lack of funds. The committee says local training facilities will be made conducive for all athletes preparing for the 2015 All-Africa Games, the 2015 Commonwealth Youth Games, as well as the Rio 2016 Olympics. The committee also agreed that only teams with medal potentials will be selected for participation. The Flying Eagles of Nigeria.
Before we go, a quick check on the weather picture across the country on our weather package. Well, that weather picture concludes our nationwide news. You stay tuned for more news spouts in the course of the day. Good afternoon.